just saw a very troubling update on the next Battlefield that is supposed to come out. Now, if you've been on X or Twitter as of late, you have seen a lot of leaks regarding Battlefield, but a lot of it has to do with its multiplayer or with its battle royale mode. We've seen a lot of those leaks, but what we haven't seen anything of has been the campaign. And one of the things that I was most excited about when the news dropped that a new Battlefield game was finally in the works was the campaign, because they specifically said that a new campaign was being worked on. And as you guys know, I'm a campaign guy, I'm a story guy, but I in particularly love stories that revolve around the military genre, things like the campaigns for Call of Duty and the older Battlefield games that had those campaigns and those missions as well. And more competition usually means better product. If I know that Battlefield is coming out with a campaign mode, and I know that Call of Duty comes out with their campaign mode, and I know that Ghost Recon is coming out with their campaign mode, and I know they're all kind of releasing at the same time, then you have to up your game because you want to be better than the competition. So that means that we get better games, we get better stories, we get more polished stories and things like that. So I was very, very excited, and I hope that Battlefield could come back with a point to prove, and I wanted it to compete heavily against Call of Duty because that just means more content for us that's better. But my hopes have hit a roadblock because Charlie Intel here shared a tweet from Ars Technica, and it is a article here written by Samuel Axon, who talks about the developmental issues going on with Battlefield. The tweet that Charlie shared says, "New report on next Battlefield claims there's been developmental issues with the single player campaign. The game's budget has reportedly passed $400 million. EA wants to mimic Call of Duty and Fortnite success. New Battlefield expected to have campaign, multiplayer, and free-to-play mode." Now, I'm going to link the entire article down in the comments below if you want to read it. It's a lengthy article. I read it myself to get better acquainted with what was going on, as I wanted to share a few things with you here. Now, these updates aren't good if you were hoping for a great campaign. Here, the article states that the company has made major structural and cultural changes to how Battlefield games are created to ensure it can release titles of unprecedented scope and scale. This is all to compete with incumbents like the Call of Duty games and Fortnite. So that's their goal. EA wants to fight against Call of Duty and Fortnite. But in doing so, they've made a lot of changes to how they make their games. And so maybe that means that Battlefield won't necessarily feel like the Battlefield that you guys know, the Battlefield that you guys might have played growing up. Now, the problem here is that apparently these changes have led to high stress and very long hours. Many employees even had to leave due to exhaustion levels. Now, at the time that Battlefield began its work, people were working on the Battle Royale mode, which was free to play, on the multiplayer, and on the campaign. The problem is that the campaign was advancing extremely slow. There were no checkups. The studio in charge just wasn't able to advance on it. And the article states here that after the shuttering of Ridgeline, the people that were working on the campaign, ownership of the single player shifted to 3 EA studios: Criterion, DICE, and Motive. But those teams had a difficult road ahead, as there was essentially nothing left that Ridgeline had spent 2 years working on that they could pick up on and build. So they had to redo essentially everything from scratch within the same constraints of when the game had to release. Single player was 2 years behind as of late spring 2025. It was the only game mode that had failed to reach alpha, well over a year after the initial overall alpha target for the project. So that's saying that EA gave Ridgeline the campaign. They said, you guys work on the campaign, give us something. Didn't work out, and so they moved the campaign to 3 different studios, and now they had to work on it, but they had nothing to work on, so they had to start over. So basically, they just started working on the campaign like earlier this year to try to come up with something, and of course the campaign isn't going to be done. The campaign, like they said here, is 2 years behind. The single player campaign is 2 years behind, and that already feels like really bad news. That feels like extremely bad news. If the campaign is 2 years behind, what the fuck are you doing? How are you going to release it when the game supposedly releases very, very soon? Because all your other game modes are more advanced than your campaign. Now, it gets worse. The article goes on to say that single player in itself is massively late. It is the latest part of the game. Without an enormous patch on day one or early access to the game, it is unrealistic that they're going to be able to release it to do what they needed it to do. And now this part here is the one that really kind of put a nail in the coffin in this whole terrible news. Single player is secondary to multiplayer, so they will shift the priority to make sure that single player meets some minimal expectations. However, you want to measure that, but the multiplayer is the main focus. An EA employee said they might have to cut a part of the single player out in order for the game to release with a single player campaign on it, or they would have to severely work through the summer and into the later part of this year and try to fix that. So they are giving us two options here. Either the game is gonna release with a lot of the single player content cut out, which is going to be shit, look at Modern Warfare 3, or they're gonna make the employees work long ass hours, bring the stress up high, and just make it a terrible workplace. And it's not like this hasn't already been a massive conversation for the gaming industry. I mean, the crunch, the late hours, the high stress leads to people leaving, leads to fatigue, leads to issues, and even leads to just a lesser product. Now, what would be the best thing to do here? To delay the game. We'd have to say, look, if we're gonna deliver the best possible game that we can for our fans that deserve this, for our fans that want this, we're gonna have to delay the game to work on the campaign to make it better. But they're never gonna do that. It states here, because timelines must be kept and not everything can be cut or moved post-launch, it falls on employees to make up the gap. That is awful. I wanted to share this article with you guys to bring some awareness to what's going on with Battlefield. I wanted Battlefield to be great. I'm not saying that we won't get a great game when it releases, but I'm saying that it's facing a lot of issues now. And it's something that maybe you guys need to be aware of because of the situation that was presented when we got revealed that this new Battlefield game was coming out. We were very excited. We felt that this could be a game changer for, you know, the FPS military genre because Battlefield was coming back. They were challenging. They were actually going to have a campaign. And I was looking forward to the campaign very much. But with all of this going on, I can already see that this is going to be a very tough thing for a lot of the fans that wanted an extremely good game and a well-polished game. Once again, if you want to read more on this, I will link the full article down below so you can read it. Let me know what you think. Are you disappointed in this news? Because I know I am. The campaign was the thing that I was the most excited about. And to know that it's struggling, to know that it's 2 years behind, I don't know what type of game we're going to get.